We should probably run through.
Now we're going to look at an experiment looking at what happens when you neutralise an acid. So we've got two chemicals we're going to react together. We've got calcium hydroxide, which is this one here, and we've got hydrochloric acid, which is this one there. And when they react together, you go from calcium hydroxide and hydrochloric acid to calcium chloride and water. So now we're going to see what happens to the pH of the acid. So that's the acid there. What happens to the pH of the acid when you add small amounts of calcium hydroxide to it. So how are we going to do this? We're going to do this by adding 50 centimetre cubed of acid into the measuring cylinder. So I've got a measuring cylinder there. I've also got a terrible drawing of a measuring cylinder up there. In an exam, you might have to draw it. That would be fine as a drawing of a measuring cylinder, and that's how I draw a beaker. Once we've added the acid into the beaker, so I'm going to take it from the measuring cylinder, and then we're going to add it. There we go, all added. We're then going to test the pH. Now, to test the pH, we're going to use a piece of universal indicator paper. And universal indicator paper is very clever because what that does is it changes colour depending on the pH. And you can see there, we've got the scale that we would use. So I've done that. What I did was I dipped a glass rod into the beaker, and then I put that glass rod onto the paper, and you can see the paper has changed colour. And I would say that pH is about 1 or 0, so very, very acidic. So now we've done it once, and we know that the pH of the acid to start with was between 0 and 1. We're going to add some calcium hydroxide, because remember, calcium hydroxide is our alkali or our base that we're going to add to neutralise it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tip the calcium hydroxide into the beaker, and then we're going to see what happens to the pH. So you'll see, like magic, the calcium hydroxide has moved from my scales and that piece of paper into this beaker. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to try again with some pH paper to measure the pH. So what I've done is I've done that. I've added some calcium hydroxide into my beaker of acid, and then I've measured the pH using these pieces of indicator paper. And once I've done it once, so this is the first time I did it, I added some calcium hydroxide and got this reading, and you can see it's slightly less dark red, and so we're looking here at a pH of about 3. I then added some more calcium hydroxide and stirred it and tried again, and you can see I got this greeny colour, which you will know and recognise as being about pH 7, 8 or 9, okay, so close to being neutral. I then added a bit more, and very quickly it went this dark purpley blacky colour, which you know and can see is a pH of about 12 or 13. And that's really it. It's a very basic and simple experiment, so one hopefully that will be easy to write an answer about in an exam. But what we've done is we've added the calcium hydroxide to the hydrochloric acid, and we formed these two other products. And what's happened to the pH as you've added it? Well, the acid started with being very acidic with a pH of about 0 or 1, and then it's gone all the way down to being the opposite to an alkali. It did get neutralised in the middle though.